He speaks geek.
Hello, welcome back to Ryan Speaks Geek. I say welcome back. It might be the first time you're watching. Welcome for the first time. It's been a long time, I know. I said I was going to do more videos and it's been another month. But life gets in the way. It gets a bit crazy. But I have been really enjoying this, doing like YouTube videos. And I want to do more of them. But I've been thinking about how I want to do them, what I want it to look like. And I've just put a bit more work into this one. Hopefully you can see. And if you message me and say it looks awful, then I'll cry myself to sleep every night. I'll get over it. So, hello random friends, people around the world, whoever you are. Welcome to Ryan Speaks Geek. Today we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going to be looking at a brand new vintage Star Wars figure. And before you all get angry, do not worry. I'm not unboxing a vintage sealed yak face or something, alright? Everyone just cool it, put your blasters away. Blasters down. Right. This come from the Netherlands. I'm also in Europe, so I'm in the United Kingdom. This came from the Netherlands. Came in this beautiful box. Now what you'll notice is I have blanked out all my personal details. Nice try, YouTube. You're not getting my personal information. I have already opened it. It was packaged beautifully inside. But obviously I've taken all the bump out of it just because I've been playing with this amazing toy. What is it, you ask? It's from the Next 17, a brand new independent company that started up in the Netherlands to make brand new vintage Star Wars figures. Let's have a look who the first character is. You already know who it is because of the title card, but, you know, play along. Be a good sport. It's Ephant Mon. Look at this. I just dropped something, but don't worry about that. I'm not even going to edit it out. I'm going to leave it there, keeping it real. That's what I do. This is Ephant Mon, a background character from Jabba's Palace, Return of the Jedi. And here he is, in vintage Star Wars figure form, which is just incredible. Like, you know, 2021, brand new vintage Star Wars figures, and they are coming out thick and thin, you know, different sizes, shapes, different companies. There's Stan Solo, Pro Customs, Trash Compactor, Angry Raccoon Minis, which is one of my favourite random names. There's even people just doing one-off customs. There's one called Blue Ghost, I believe. It does like amazing figures. There's so many. And I do want to have a little bit more of a sit down and explore a lot of these brand new vintage Star Wars figures. It's a crazy world we're living in now. But this is the bit that makes sense to me. So, Ephant Mon, what have we got? We have got a beautifully solid steel mold, steel injected, I can never say it right, steel injected mold? Mold injected steel? A proper factory built figure. Let's just do it that way because I'll get that right for once. It's a factory built figure. It's not a 3D print. It's not done with the whole Lego prints and silicon mold, which I still want to give a go one day, but this is, it looks, it feels, and it is a proper Kenner style made action figure. It has articulated arms. It has a removable accessory. It has foot pegs, and it has the spot on colour scheme. It has the right level of not detail. Not too detailed. It's a bit like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You don't want too much detail. You don't want too little detail. There's a very particular Kenner aesthetic. It can't look too much like the thing, but you have to know it's definitely the thing. Like the character, the alien, the monster, the vehicle. You know, it's glorious. This is so well made. The paint apps on it are brilliant. There is just, you can tell there is a lot of love and thought put into this. It's just cool. It's not the only thing in the box either. But I'll tell you what we'll do is I got a little, a new little rotating solar powered jewellery stand and a makeshift light box. So let's do a little bit of the magic roundabout and spin this figure around while I tell you a little bit more about him. Spin it around. Here he is, the main man himself. Interesting little fact about this chap. He weighs 100 grams and is approximately 10.5 centimeters tall. If you go on the website, he does actually have some rules about the size of the figures. So no taller than a Man-O-Man, no wider than a Gamorrean guard. It's a good little trick to stay to because scale is important. And as you'll see later in some comparison photos, he fits in so well. I mean, just look at the paint apps on this figure. The hair, it's just basic enough details that you can tell who it is. It just fits in. The joints you can see are nice and tight and flush to the figure, so there's no looseness there at all. The face looks like it to be a separate piece that is then obviously stuck on, exactly like what they would have done back in the day. The accessory is removable, it's got quite a nice shine to it. And that's one thing I will say about this figure. So sometimes I've seen in other people's reviews, and even in my own, it looks shinier than it actually is. When you put it in a backdrop, it just blends in. In real life, when you're holding it, it doesn't have that sort of a shine that it seems to get on these. And I'm trying my best with lighting here. I'm not a lighting expert, but this really is a beautiful figure. I hope you can see the detail with this. A little cheeky spin, trying it a bit different. But thank you for watching the little magic roundabout. Let's go back to Ryan in front of the backdrop rug thing. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Anyone who fell off the ride, that's not my fault. You can't sue me. You know the rules. Keep your arms and legs inside, etc., etc. Yeah, as you can see, the budget has gone up by a whole £5 worth of budget extra on the production value. Just because. The main thing is, I did say, if you remember correctly, before the magic roundabout, that there was more in the box. Now, got the box here. What are one of the things that a lot of people say about is card backs, and we'll get back to that later, because I've actually done a little interview with the Next 17 via email. Being in different countries, it makes it a bit difficult to do face-to-face interviews, so I sent some questions that I wanted to answered, and one of my friends as well, who actually has... very kindly, he has a much better Star Wars collection than me. My friend Dave let me go around there, take some pictures with some befores, afters, and some great comparison shots with the modern figures. His modern Star Wars collection is insane. So, you know, being able to see the vintage with the modern, incredible. But I will get onto that in a bit. Let's see what else is in the box first. So, one of my favourite little things there is here is this card here. Now, this looks very unassuming. Yes, it does at the moment. But when you turn it around, it's like the old card backs and the posters, but it's even more like that because there are sneak previews. We just don't know what they are. True Kenner style, they're there, they're blacked out, we can't see them. Even the names, you might be able to make out some tops of names. I've been trying to guess what the next ones are. I've been told off for trying to guess what the next ones are. So I have to be patient. You know, this is awesome. It's just it's so Kenner. It's such a card back without being a card back. You've even got down here some variants and backdrops. So this is what else is included in the box, the backdrops. We'll talk about them in a moment. The variant figure is when he was doing his research, the old Next 17 for Ephant Mon, he looked like the cloak might have been more of a light tan colour. So he went with the darker tan for the mass production, but he got himself made a light tan one. And if there's enough interest, then he'll probably do a little batch of those. So maybe if you're watching this, let's talk, let's try and get together, let's have a little chat, you know. We'll have a few beers, have a laugh, and try and get this made. There will be some Cantina backdrops available with it. And I'm hoping maybe the backdrops might be sold separately at some point, because the Cantina one is a tile-based one, which will just be could be continuous. It would make a great backdrop for a shelf if you got like 4 or 5 of them. Yeah, it's great. So here it is. Don't know what that little noise was. I used to do this a lot. So the other thing I mentioned was backdrops. So in this one, we have got... These are the backdrops. These are the floor plates. This is the wall. And as you can see, what you get in the box is you get enough to do the whole little diorama here. So you can actually put a jabber on this with the stool. You've got lines to cut so you can get it all nice and flush. You can stick it then together with the overlap like that when it's done properly. Obviously, you know, you won't have the white line. It looks great. It looks seamless. I've seen the pictures online of other people who've already done it so far. I haven't yet because I want to find out where I'm going to put them first before I start cutting and everything. But they look good. The quality is amazing. It's the thick quality as well. It's not cheapy. It's great. The design's great. It almost looks like something that really could have been packed in with, you know, big figures. You know, I could have seen these being slid into those old Kenner style boxes as little perks. They had like an Echo base type one, you know. That would have been cool to have like something this size for Echo Base, which I'm sure there's probably someone at the Cardboard Galaxy already, but this is just such a great inclusion to have. I know when I'm speaking to the Next 17, and you can see on his website, they're a bit limited in regards to the size of the postal boxes. So that's why the boxes are the size they are for the figure it is. So let's be honest, it's just a perk. It's just an awesome, awesome perk to be able to have not just a figure, but an instant display for the figure. You've got it's a display in a box. I really can't sing the praises high enough. I'm really excited to see what else the next 17 is going to come up with. I mean, it's so like the kid feeling, isn't it? I know what there is stuff coming. I just can't see what it is. And even me and my friend Dave were sitting there the other day trying to work it out if we could match up names with the tops of letters, and you think you get it, but you're not sure. And it really is like being a kid again, trying to, that excitement. There is no pipeline reveals, you know, it's just, So that is my little review. We've done it on the Magic Roundabout, but now let's have a look at Ephant Mon in his home environment? No, that would be his own planet. In Jabba's palace. And let's have a look at the past and the future combining together. And let's talk about some of the amazing details. Following that, we're going to have a little quick interview. Look how well he blends into that diorama. If you didn't know he wasn't an official Kenner figure and you just saw this picture for the first time, you probably wouldn't be able to point out that he was the one that was brand new. He just blends in so well. I mean, look at him next to the 2002 fan choice number 3 Ephant Mon. The detail difference is obvious, but you can so tell this is the vintage style of that character. And I've even included the 2 different backdrops. And here we have all of the different characters I could think of that would look good either side. A real mix of the two. We got the yak faces, the Amanamans, and you can really see how well the detail is here. It's incredible. He's done amazing. It blends in, and it's a vintage figure. So there we have it. Some great little insights of the figure from the past that's now in the future, with the future figure that's now from the past. Wait, did I say it right? I don't know. Maybe. Possibly. Maybe? What can I say? It's just an incredible figure. But what I have done, like I said earlier, I've got some questions that I've had answered. Just want to give a quick shout out to, if someone is still watching this in particular, his name is James Bavely of Bavely Construction. If he's still watching this, James is a very good friend of mine who, actually, weirdly, whenever I share these videos on Facebook, is always the first person to comment underneath. And it's kind of a cultural exchange. I know nothing about football, but I've been trying to talk to him about football for God knows how many years. And I think out of some kind of charity, he's been watching my videos and trying to understand. And I really appreciate that. So, James, if you are still watching, good to see you, sir. So, here's my little Q&A with the next17.com. Which was your favourite Kenner figure? So I asked this because I think it's really important when someone's making figures what their sort of their core one was, or 1 or 2, and what was the one that was like ooh. And the answer was, by far it was Yoda. Perhaps because I spent 3 years looking for him. I only managed to find him because there was a store that had some old Empire Strikes Back stock that had fallen behind a shelf, and I was digging around in there and found it. That kind of thing cannot happen nowadays. Also, I was out with my aunt and uncle and I had to beg them for an hour. Well, that's how he remembers it, he says. To get him the figure. Dutch aunts don't really go around buying stuff for their nephews in the Netherlands in the 80s. Well, at least not in his family. Next question I asked him was, what was the most challenging part of the process? Because I can't even get my head around making one of these figures to start with. So the answer is, there was actually quite a lot of back and forth with the factory to get the figure exactly how I wanted it. They're very good at making modern toys and would simply optimize all kinds of things that I didn't want to have optimized. Great for normal producers, but not for an 80s control freak. As an example, there are peg holes in the legs of the figure, but the character is so big that if the peg holes are in the middle of the foot, like on most figures, half of his body would be over the edge of the even bigger star stands. So the peg holes needed to be off to the side, slightly out of center alignment, by a very precise measure. It's quite difficult to explain the need for such seeming imperfections. There were probably more than 20 of such weird requests to get the figure in the exact style he wanted. My next question, what made you choose Ephant for your first figure? Ephant, whichever one you want to go for, however you pronounce it. Interesting. I was more or less done with an Ular figure, then found out other people were already doing those. That might be Stan Solo, because he's pretty far on the process and that looks a good figure. But we'd love to have seen you design those still. So he scrapped his design and started looking for a first figure that could make a big splash. He already wanted to do an Ephant type figure, but he figured he would have to leave it until he had way more funds. The figure is just very big and heavy, so very costly to both make it and ship it. Well, I showed you some of the dimensions earlier in the Magic Roundabout, and it was worth it. We thank you. Next question. So I had help with my friend Dave on some of these questions. Dave is the one who owns all those amazing Star Wars figures that we used for the comparisons. I said, can you give us any hints for future figures other than the Kenner style blacked out names? I just had to try my luck because you never know. Couldn't work out what the names were. I thought I'd just ask it out. He came back with, I can of course, but I won't. It's very modern to announce items months in advance to get the buzz going and rile people up. But remember how you used to find out about new figures? You either just ran into them in the shops, or you heard from someone's cousin that a new line was out, and you'd skip school and rush to the toy store. Stay in school, kids, don't skip school. That's what he wants. He wants it as soon as you see or hear about the new figures, there will be a buy button. Love that philosophy. I really like that. So just, you've got to keep checking that website. Check his Etsy store, check his website. When there's a new figure, it will drop. And my final question that me and David sort of discussed was, is there any plans for carded variations? Not at the moment. So he needs to concentrate on new figures, but he'd love to see someone else do a card sometimes. He would definitely get one. So if you are watching this and you make cards and you think maybe you can make a card and a bubble for the figure, you might end up having the next 17 as a customer. So if you buy his figure first, it's call it like a cultural exchange of products. You buy his figure and he will buy your card. But I just want to say thanks to everyone for watching, sticking around. Let me know what you like or didn't like about this video. I know it's slightly long, but I think this kind of thing warrants a longer video. We need to talk about these things because it's like, I feel like it's one of the main futures of Star Wars collecting. You know, for us vintage lovers, you know, 6 retro collection figures every couple of years or whatever, it's not really enough to keep the appetite, you know, going. So stuff like this, Stan Solo, you know, all these different custom companies, they are the future, I think, of vintage Star Wars collecting. Cannot wait to see what comes out next from the next 17. I'll be watching eagerly. Let's get some people together for the light version, please, because, you know, I want to jump on that train. But as always, I have been Ryan Speaks Geek. Hopefully we'll see more videos in the future. I'm saying hopefully because, you know, I'll try my best to stick to it. But thank you, keep it geeky, and Ryan Speaks Geek. Next 17, if you're watching this, I just want to say bedankt, which I believe is thank you in Dutch. Thank you again, bedankt, for this amazing figure. Wait, I didn't say like, share, and subscribe.